Now, what if I told you that your secret beliefs about other people, whether in the classroom or the boardroom, could actually, fundamentally, change their reality? Today, we're diving into a powerful psychological phenomenon that does exactly that.
I know, it sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? But the answer is actually grounded in some really fascinating psychology. And surprisingly, this whole story begins not with a person, but with a very, very clever horse.
So yeah, our story kicks off way back in late 19th century Germany with an animal so remarkable it pretty much baffled the entire scientific community. So let's meet him. His name was Hans, and he was trained by this teacher, William von Osten, who was absolutely convinced that animals could be taught to reason just like us. And Hans, well, Hans was his star pupil.
And look, Hans wasn't just doing simple tricks. He could supposedly tackle some seriously complex stuff. People would ask him questions, and he'd tap his hoof to answer. We're talking arithmetic, telling time, reading a calendar. He could even pick specific people out of a crowd.
And get this, he was crazy consistent, getting the answers right about 90% of the time. The real kicker, he could do it even when his owner wasn't even in the room. For a while there, the whole world was convinced this horse was an absolute genius. So, the world was sold on this idea of a genius horse, until a psychologist named Oskar Pfungst came along. He was a little skeptical and thought, there's got to be more to this story. So he designed this really clever experiment to figure out what was really going on.
And what Pfungst found was fascinating. He noticed two really crucial patterns. First, Hans could only get the answer right if the person asking the question already knew the answer themselves. And second, he had to be able to see that person. If you took away either of those things, say the questioner didn't know the answer, or you hid them behind a screen, poof, Hans's miraculous abilities just vanished into thin air.
So here's the secret, Hans wasn't doing math, not even a little bit. He was just an incredible observer. As he was tapping his hoof, he was watching the person asking the question like a hawk. And when he got close to the right number, they'd give off these tiny, unconscious signals. A little head nod, a change in their posture, and that was his cue to stop. He wasn't counting, he was reading their expectations. And you know, this whole thing was way bigger than just one clever horse. It raised this huge question. If our subtle, unconscious expectations can literally guide an animal's behavior, just imagine what they're doing to the people around us every single day.
And that very question is the foundation for one of the most famous concepts in all of psychology, one that actually gets its name from an ancient myth.
Right, so this phenomenon came to be known as the Pygmalion Effect. It's basically this idea that our belief in someone else's potential can actually help bring that potential to life. In a way, we kind of create the reality we expect to see. So, where on earth did that name come from?
Well, it comes from this old Greek myth about a sculptor, Pygmalion, who carved a statue of a woman that was so perfect, so ideal, that he completely fell in love with it. His belief in his creation was so powerful that he prayed to the goddess Aphrodite, and she brought the statue to life. His expectation literally became his reality.
So, fast forward from ancient myths to 1968. This is when the whole idea was really put to the test scientifically. Two researchers, Robert Rosenthal and Lenore Jacobson, ran this landmark experiment in an elementary school that pretty much put the Pygmalion effect on the map for good. The way they set it up was just brilliant. They gave all the students a test, then they went to the teachers and said, hey, based on this test, about 20% of your students are what we're calling intellectual bloomers. They're poised for incredible growth this year. But here's the secret sauce. That list of students, it was completely random.
And the results were just jaw-dropping. At the end of the school year, they tested everyone again, and the students the teachers thought were gifted, that bloomers group, showed way bigger gains in their IQ scores than everybody else. Remember, there was no actual difference between these kids at the start. The only thing that changed was the teacher's expectation.
So, what was going on here? Why did it work? Well, it wasn't some kind of magic. The teachers' high expectations completely changed their own behavior, probably without them even realizing it. They created this warmer, more encouraging environment for the students they believed in. They gave them more time, more patience, and more detailed feedback. Basically, they did for the kids what the questioners did for clever Hans.
Okay, so this powerful cycle of expectations, it's not just something that happens in a classroom. It's working all around us, all the time, in our friendships and especially in the workplace.
You see, when we truly believe in someone,
we kick off what's called a positive feedback loop. Our belief changes how we act towards them, which then improves their performance, which then, of course, confirms our original belief. Let me show you how that plays out.
So picture this. A manager is convinced a new hire is going to be a superstar. What do? Well, they naturally give that person more responsibility, right? More interesting projects, more mentoring, more helpful feedback. And what happens? The employee, feeling that support and challenge, totally rises to the occasion and excels. And boom, the manager's belief is proven right.
But, and this is a huge but, this whole thing is a double-edged sword. Because when our expectations are low, that same exact cycle works in reverse, and it can create this really destructive downward spiral.
Think about it. If a manager thinks an employee is going to be a poor performer, they might subconsciously give them less support, fewer opportunities to shine. That employee, feeling kind of sidelined and undervalued, well, their performance suffers. And again, the manager's initial low expectation is confirmed. In both cases, our expectations are basically writing a script that the other person ends up following. Okay, so we've spent a lot of time talking about how our beliefs shape other people. But what's the last and maybe the most important piece of this entire puzzle? Well, it's about turning that lens around and pointing it at ourselves.
But before we get to that, I have to give one really important warning here. Balance is key. Our expectations have to be realistic. The goal here is to inspire and encourage potential, not to create some kind of crushing pressure. If you set someone up with impossibly high expectations, it can totally backfire and just lead to stress and failure. So yeah, balance is everything.
And you know, at the end of the day, this whole Pygmalion effect isn't just about how we see other people. By far the most powerful expectations are the ones we hold for ourselves. The stories you tell yourself about what you're capable of, they create their very own self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like that famous Henry Ford quote, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." So the real question to leave you with isn't just what you expect from others, it's what do you truly expect from yourself.